Welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole, a podcast for creators, where we stream live every Wednesday, 8 p.m. on Twitter Spaces. And welcome, Tyflow, into the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Morph. This is definitely something that I've been looking forward to for a while, actually.
What we're going to be talking about tonight is Twitch potentially recertifying, revalidating partners on an annual basis. What are your thoughts around that?
So I have a very biased opinion on this, and I think there needs to warrant some background for this as well. I have some friends that are Twitch partners, Minty being one of them, and my hard stance on this is no, because there are Twitch partners out there that have legitimate and valid reasons for not live streaming on a consistent or daily basis, actually. And I presented the idea to Dev if there could be an exception to the rule of having to renew Twitch partnership for certain creators if they submit a form stating their reasons why they were not able to meet the quote-unquote requirements for Twitch partner.
Yeah, that I agree with the exception. I think when I first heard this, I was a little surprised that it generated so much excitement or commentary from people, because I was rather indifferent to it. It didn't really seem to matter to me one way or the other. As I thought about it a little bit more, I realized that I do like the idea for one simple reason. I find a lot of streamers, it feels like they get complacent once they make partner, because they know partners are not going to be taken away from them unless they do something egregious. It would force them to keep active, to keep pushing, to keep trying to do something more. And I think that level of quality would force a lot of people to just keep on top of their game. The only downside, though, is when you are trying to, once you make partner, there's a big push you have to do mentally. It's exhausting. And if you have to continually do that to continually prove yourself, I think that it would lead to a lot of burnout, more so than we see now.
To bounce off the idea of burnout, what you said, in fact, I'm not going to name the specific creators who experience burnout once they reach Twitch partnership, but it is something that is a risk for all of them, actually. And I think with burnout too, several Twitch partners, well, the majority of Twitch partners, I should say, still work a full-time job. Minty has even admitted to me that he still has to go into work the next day if he has to end a stream early or so. I know one specific creator who is actually working as a professor at a university, so his stream schedule very much changes throughout the year. All of those which are valid reasons as to not having a consistent partner stream schedule.
Right. One thing that I heard Catliente say before is once people make partner, they have an inevitable drop off in viewership. And there could be various reasons for that. I personally have witnessed several people that I know that have made partner in the last 6 months. I've seen that happen. I think that there would be, I just love the competition aspect. I guess what I'm trying to get to. I love the competition aspect that it would drive up. How many partners have you seen when you go into their streams and it just feels like they're not working hard anymore? They're not putting out that same level of effort anymore. I find that a little frustrating, because I'll look at their channels. I'm like, I feel like I'm working harder than you. I feel like I'm putting out better content than you.
And I'm not trying to call out anyone who has made partner and may have experience a dip in views or but I do notice that there is that typical loss of retention of viewership, whether that is because their content did drop in quality, or if some of their viewers who helped them with that partner push decided that, oh, they have the purple check mark, I'm going to move on to someone else who is making that quote-unquote partner push.
If that happened, if they were going to revalidate partner, do you think that you should A, be held to the same exact standards as when you got it the first time, and B, do you think that the perk should be improved in some way?
I think what makes that difficult to answer is, like I brought up before, there should be certain exceptions. I'm not sure if it should be modified, because once I wanted to bring like this counter proposal to meeting the requirements of reaching partner. Could some of those requirements, like streaming X amount of hours, be lowered? I'm not saying average CCV should be lowered, but maybe the hours stream could be lowered. I'm not sure how you or some of our other listeners in here feel about that.
So I know partners quite often, they have minimum requirements they have to meet. You know, when you're getting there, you have the 12 days a month and the 25 hours streamed in a month, as well as the CCV. And I know that when you sign certain contracts, like you have to stream X number of hours per month. You know, I don't know. Is it fair to say, or your CCV is down, but we told you to stream 100 hours a month and you did that? Okay, great. You know, you can still keep it. I think it get kind of murky. I think they would piss a lot of people off if they said, no, you have to have 75 average every single time that we revalidate you. You know, that could be tough, because we all know that in the common theme is like in the summer months, it goes down, right? Because people aren't around as much. So is it fair if you're someone who got awarded partner in July, and July is usually slow, the next year comes around, that you're naturally dipping, even though you know you're going to go back up in the early fall? So we had some questions in comments in chat here. Bearded Nova is saying, would a simpler solution be, rather than repartner, would adding a new level before partner and keep that to those that can successfully hold the requirement? And we've talked about that before in terms of progression, for, you know, where the jump from affiliate to partner is significant. Adding a second level in there, or even more than one level. We'll say that it went from 3 and the next year was 25, and then 50, and then 75. If there were, say, multiple tiers in between there, you didn't get revalidated, but each tier had a different set of perks, right? And let's say that you made partner at your 75, or you made your 50, and then in a year you were down to 25. Maybe you automatically go down to the bottom tier, but you're still at a partner, but you're just getting fewer perks. What do you think about that?
I think that's a good compromise. This also opens up another rabbit hole of whether there should be tiers to partner, because as we all know, like Dad the Gamer even made blunt truth about this. Reaching Twitch affiliate is fairly easy, like average 3 CCV, 50-ish followers or so. But the jump from affiliate to partner, that's a vast leap that you have to make. And from 3 average CCVs to 75, give or take, sometimes even more in like Minties and a few other content creators cases.
Yeah.
There needs to be an intermediate between. So I think what the benefit to having an intermediate in between affiliate and partner, and so on, like what you said,
yeah,
is the fact that you would essentially like provide creators that extra incentive to quote unquote keep going, or keep grinding your way to partner. I say that with an asterisk, just because the grind mentality, it's another kind of rabbit hole that we can go down, whether it's that kind of mentality is good or bad.
Right.
But it gives but essentially having those intermediate tiers is what will give people that extra motivation to continue pushing towards partnership goal and beyond.
Right. And I love your idea, your comment about the tiering on the high end, because somebody just makes partner at 75 average, right? XQC is averaging like 80,000 people or more per stream, but they're both just considered a partner. They both just get the same perks. And in my mind, that's not fair. XQC is at a whole nother 75 levels higher than that person who just made partner. And if I'm him, I want to be recognized as such, you know, because I'm pulling 80,000 people every single time. I mean, I was one day at work, I left his actual chat open. He had hundreds of people in his chat the entire day, and he wasn't even on. hundreds of people just talking to each other, subbing, doing all this all day long, and he's offline. That to me demands more layers, more levels of partner. Does that mean there could be 10 levels of partner? I don't know, but I think if they did levels, I think it would make sense.
And I think like that's the thing too. If like to bounce off your idea of having multiple tiers after partner, I think if there was even more monetary incentives for partners, not just to say, oh, I reached like a tier 5 of like after partner or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing too, is like what you said multiple times before, streaming content creation is a business. And I think having the monetary incentives, whether it be like a higher pay split / pay cut, or like more ad incentives, which, you know what, I think that the ad incentives is another kind of rabbit hole we could go into.
I would think one thing that would make sense is in terms of different perks is changing those incentives, giving you more bigger and bigger splits. Like right now, every affiliate is eligible for 55% ad revenue split if you're running at least 4 minutes. I think it's 4 minutes per hour or 3 minutes per hour. So I'm thinking, well, what if your affiliates get 25%, the first level partner gets 30, and then each of the levels gets like 40%, and then 45, and then 50%. You know what I mean? More
right,
and
a
more.
gradual,
yeah, and everyone starts off at 50-50 sub split. But you make that partner tier 1, now you get a 55% split. And when you get to tier 5 partner, whatever, now you're making a 70% split. Just give people more and more incentives to move up. But if you do that in coordination with making these tiers easier to go up, then you have more people that are going to stay longer. Because what they say, the average Twitch streamer quits within 6 months. I bet you wouldn't have that if people saw that the next level is within reach.
Yes, and specifically, I know you would enjoy this comparison, like having that compared to SMART goals and having those goals and tiers be obtainable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing they seem to forget. As a corporation who, I'm sure they talk about SMART goals all of the time. Do they realize that 75 does not seem attainable to people? There's a reason why they moved partner down from 500 to all the way to 75, because nobody was making 500. If they had kept it at that, who's going to stay? I think 25 would be a great first level of past like affiliate, because it's, first of all, that's not even obtainable for a lot of people, but I bet you would have people try. When you have somebody sitting at 15 for 2 years and they're like, I give up, I can't make 75. But if they're sitting at 15 for 2 years and they see 25, it's only 10 more people away, that means they're going to try that much harder to be active on social media, that much harder to network and collaborate and do whatever they need to do to get to that 25. And I think that God, it just seems like it would make so much sense for Twitch. If what they want is retention of people, why not throw a little bit extra their way? And I don't think you're hurting your finances by doing that.
I think with that incentive, that does not only pertain to streamers and creators. I think that pertains to viewers as well. In fact, I'll even admit to, like, I've had several viewers from my community say like, oh, if there were, when I brought this topic up with them, they said like, oh, if there were like those intermediate incentives, then we would help you, like, quote unquote push for them. That in turn allows those viewers to stay longer on Twitch, thus having more eyes on your platform, thus having more eyes on the ads that you want to run to them.
Yeah.
Or any other monetary incentives.
We started talking about, should partners be revalidated or recertified annually, and I love that it's kind of turned into, well, this is what Twitch should do. I think if you had a tiered system, you wouldn't have to revalidate them annually, because if your numbers slip, you just go to a different tier. It's not the end of, it's not, oh my God, I'm losing my partner status. No, you're just a partner 2 instead of a partner 1. You're still at that level. I think I'm reading these out. Why didn't these refresh at that time?
Mine haven't been refreshing.
I was saying, move partner from 75 to 100, so the jump would be 50 to 100. What is up, Insane Troll? Insane Troll says, love the tier idea and the fluidity of moving it based on your CCV. Yeah, I agree. I think and make it more automatic, right? Remove the guesswork from your application, right? When I applied for YouTube partner, I was not concerned that I wasn't going to make it because I did what I needed to do and I hadn't broken any rules on the way to get there. Remove that guesswork, and I think you're gonna find people a lot more happy.
And that's the thing too. I remember listening to the live button with you, Dad the Gamer, and Pastor Gaines, and I think with those support for support discords reaching those numerical requirements, that's kind of the loophole that some creators, and I'm well aware of it. I've seen it on streamer Twitter often, and you kind of don't get that genuine community that so many of us really want.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I've seen people say like, oh, like got you tabbed, or like, I'm not trying to call anyone out for this. Like if I go into like an alleged support for support streamer, and then seeing that they don't have like an active chat, but having 100 CCVs, like something feels a little off. Now there are exceptions, like McQueeb himself has even said like, oh, I'm like at partner numbers, but the majority of my chat is there for my commentary and gameplay and not actively chatting
right,
while I'm live streaming.
Right. Bearded Nova mentioned, he looked it up, he said a 6 CCV, 6, puts you in the top 5%. If that doesn't scream this platform is oversaturated, I don't know what else does.
Just to reiterate what you said about the tier system 2 partnership, I think that provides Twitch like not just multiple opportunities for retention of viewers and streamers, but we have to think about the long run of Twitch staying relevant in the future. And I think, and I'll just be honest, one of my goals for your podcast and also like for continued episodes of this is to bring up issues like within Twitch and to hopefully make Twitch better in the future, and because I don't want to say that Twitch is dying, but I just feel like with the multiple mistakes like on the PR side, and I'll even like reference what McQueeb said, like before like anything with like changing the UI, giving more tools for discoverability, Twitch needs to improve the PR side and fix its relationship with so many of its creators on the platform.
Yeah.
And I think adding this tier system is a step in the right direction for mending that relationship.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting is, remember when the leaks came out in April about the changes they were going to make? They talked about partner tiering. It was one of the leaks that came out. For some reason, they opted not to implement that one, but they implemented several of the other ones. I really do think tiering, you know, there seems to be quite a few people here agree, it would simply just, it would make sense.
Again, thank you for having me as your co-host for the first episode back, Morph.
Yeah.
And to all of the listeners here.
So yeah, thank you everybody for coming out and for all your great questions and comments. This has been a lot of fun coming back, and I loved doing it with a co-host. It was great working with you, Tyflow. So thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and share the podcast. Don't forget, we are here every Wednesday on Twitter Spaces at 8 p.m. If you have a comment or an idea for a future episode, make sure to drop us an email at downtherabbithole@elevated.media. Thanks, and have a great day.